And let us start with what really was the game of the weekend. There were several big games. We just talked about one, the Bills and the Bengals. But the biggest probably, Rob, was Dallas and Philadelphia. And it didn't disappoint. It was a very good game. It was close, and it was dramatic at the end. Philadelphia hung on to win 28-23 as the Cowboys finished. Well, they actually technically finished with a fumble by CeeDee Lamb at like the 5-yard line. But really, they were 4 or 5 yards short of winning that game. And obviously several plays, Dak Prescott stepping out of bounds on a 2-point conversion attempt. Luke Schumacher falling inches short of the goal line on another play that would have been a touchdown. But Rob, I know a lot of people were encouraged. A lot of Cowboys fans were encouraged. Cowboy Nation was encouraged. And look, the Cowboys played well. Dak Prescott played great. Had some mistakes, wasn't perfect. I gave him a B+ grade on the First Things First TV show.
Does that ball, Chris, need to be at the end, thrown in the end zone or no?
I mean,
I'm just asking.
I don't.
What's the rule of thought there? You know what I mean? Like,
well, a lot of people feel that way, but I think they thought maybe he can catch it and make a move. You throw it in the end zone, like if you look at that play, if they had thrown it in the end zone, it would have essentially been a Hail Mary.
Right. I'm just saying,
because
but it's harder to score
there were so many
way.
defenders down there that you're just throwing it and hoping you can get a tip ball or something like that. But it's interesting you mentioned that, Rob. Like, should they have thrown it into the end zone, implying that you think they should have, and that was a mistake. Whether you think they should have or not,
I'm just saying,
may have been a mistake.
Yeah, just
and I'm glad you went there.
It's different philosophies. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, there's no right or wrong answer. If the guy ran it in, Chris, it's a great play.
Right.
I mean,
and
like,
we saw now it was a shorter pass, but we saw A.J. Brown catch a ball near the goal line and then run it in for the Eagles. Again, shorter pass, but still that concept.
Right.
But the point is this, Rob, and I think this is maybe what you were getting at. It was the same old Cowboys. It was the same old Cowboys. They played well. I won't take that away from them. But, Rob, they, at the end of the game, their clock management, their game management was horrible. Horrible. Now, I'll admit this. They would have been stealing this game from Philadelphia. I think the Cowboys definitely outplayed them in the fourth quarter. I think it was close first half, obviously.
Right.
But I give Philadelphia the edge over the first 3 quarters, and they pulled away in the third quarter. But Dallas outplayed them in the fourth quarter. And Philadelphia, with all their, I won't say championship medal, because a lot of these guys, most of them weren't on that team that won the last Super Bowl for them. But, they went to the Super Bowl last year. So for all their medal, they made a bunch of mistakes too.
Right.
It was like they were trying to give the game to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys one-upped them. Just when Philadelphia looked like they were trying to give the game away, they gave them 56 yards in penalties on that last drive. So the Cowboys moved from their own 14-yard line all the way to Philadelphia's 6 in a matter of seconds because of Philadelphia's penalties. But just as it looked like they were giving the game away, not to be outdone were Jerry Jones's Dallas Cowboys. A foolish team is what I've called them. And let me give you a little bit of evidence for that, Rob.
All right.
They get to the 6-yard line, first and goal with 27 seconds left. False start. Okay, moves them back.
That's a killer, Chris.
It's a killer.
It's a killer.
Moves them back 5 yards.
And that's self-inflicted. That's self-inflicted.
Yes, just a false start. Then you get sacked. All right, that's 11 yards. Now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 21. or 22 from Philadelphia's 22-yard line. Then, Rob, they don't clock it to stop the clock. Instead, Dak throws a pass into the end zone to Jalen Tolbert that, of course, doesn't connect. And then, Rob, a delay of game. A delay of game. How in the world do you have a delay of game? And then, as to your point, last play of the game, you got 5 seconds, you're scrambling. He throws the ball to CeeDee Lamb at, I don't know, the 3, 4, 5-yard line, and Lamb gets tackled promptly and actually forces a meaningless fumble. They force a meaningless fumble. So, Rob, if you think about last year, how'd the game end? With some crazy formation where Ezekiel Elliott was at center.
Oh, yeah.
And hiked the ball to that, right?
That's right.
In the playoffs against San Francisco. How did it end the year before that? With Dak scrambling, but scrambling too long and too far. And then they don't even get a playoff again. Remember that? And you can say, look, any team can make mistakes, sure. But it always seems to happen to the Dallas Cowboys, Rob. Big games, those are 3 big games over the last 3 years that ended in comedic fashion almost for the Cowboys. And that's my problem with them, Rob.
And you have a laundry list of evidence, Chris, that of these things that have happened and moments where the Cowboys shoot themselves in the foot or don't execute, fumble it around at the end, whatever it may be. There's too much evidence. And that's the problem. That's why it's hard for people to buy into anything that they're doing. Like, I know, and Cowboys, this is our year. You know, you hear the fans, it's our year. Oh, yeah, we're going to Super Bowl, blah, 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 all this stuff. I picked them. I look at their team, and I'm like, they got everything. They got a defense. They got all this stuff. They got everything, Chris. But they're inconsistent. They play down to the competition, right? Sometimes they don't play up.
Well, I wouldn't say that. They don't play. They crushed the sorry teams.
But I mean, I should say they don't show up for the good teams. Like, that's the biggest issue normally.
I think they showed up yesterday.
No. That's a rare one. But this year there have been a couple big games that they got blown out.
Well, just the one.
The 49ers. That was a big game. Yeah.
They didn't show up for that one. 49ers
but they lost to
their
they lose to.
They're a tough matchup. Arizona, that was
the Cardinals. That was the one. That was the one
where
they played down. Like, there's no way the Cardinals. So they've had their moments like that too.
But Rob, can they win a close game against a good team? They beat the Chargers, sure, 20-17. The Chargers have their own foolishness.
The Chargers imploded, Chris, in that game at the end.
And they implode almost on a bi-weekly basis.
That was the problem.
If not a weekly basis. But we got sound of Dak Prescott after the game, Rob. Here's what he said.
Division game, great opponent they are, success that they've had in their environment. As I said, it sucks in the moment, but a lot of good we can take from this and use as we keep going. Great NFC's matchup. They came out with it tonight, but as you just said, an inch or two on one of those 3 plays, and we could be talking about a different outcome.
Rob, look, again, Dak played well. And maybe he's just trying to be positive. But it sounded to me it sounded like he sounded more positive than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was talking about we got to get better. Right? Patrick Mahomes, after they won against Miami in the morning, was saying we got to get better. We've heard Travis Kelce say our offense is not getting it done.
For the Kansas City Chiefs to not get any points in the second half and to paint it any other way, Chris, it would be ridiculous. And that's why.
They won against a good team. I mean,
but I'm saying
why is Dak Prescott sounding more positive?
Right. No.
Than three guys that won?
I'm agreeing. I'm saying that even though they won, they know they have to play better, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I mean. Like, what they're saying is right. What Dak Prescott is saying was, well, divisional game on the road, we could lose that game. It ain't the end of the world. That's what he said.
You know what it tells me, Rob, is that the Cowboys were happy to be in it. The Cowboys have a confidence problem. I think for all the bravado and all the big talk, I think they are wondering, because they got smashed by San Francisco, are we really good? Are we as good as the big boys? And I think going to Philadelphia, hanging around, having a chance to win, made them feel like, you know what? We've arrived. Like we can play with these teams. And there may be a little truth to that, but here's the other thing that the Cowboys and their fans need to be careful about, Rob. That's what the Eagles do. The Eagles let you hang around. The Eagles don't blow teams out. Patriots, they beat 25-20, 5 points. Vikings, they beat by 6. Commanders, they beat by 3. Then they beat them by 7. They've only had 2 wins, Rob, by double figures this season.
Right.
Even though they're 8-1. Like, so I don't know. And they obviously didn't play a good game. Not in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no. I think the point is well taken when you look at their games this year, and you just said it. They're not blowing people away, so this game was their MO, Chris. This is how they play.
Yep.
You're kind of in it, but they make the plays at the end, and they do what they need to do in order to seal a deal. And you wind up walking away feeling, well, they went to the Super Bowl last year. We played pretty good. We only lost by – what did they lose by 3?
Lost by 5.
5. We only lost by 5. No.
I agree with you. And that's what it seems like the Cowboys are falling into. And let me say this too, Rod, because again, I think Dak played well. I don't, I'm not killing him by any stretch. But he did, I mentioned all the other little mistakes that the team made. Dak, Rob, I don't know if you saw it. The play to Schoonmaker on the goal line, right, where the tight end caught it and was just an inch short of scoring. Brandon Cooks ran the same route, and he was wide open in the middle of the field. Wide open. Dak didn't hit him.
He didn't see him.
Didn't even see him. Then on the 4th and 8, when he went to Jalen Tolbert, who was covered like a blanket, and they didn't convert, wide open in the middle of the field, Jake Ferguson would have been a first down and much more. That was early in the fourth quarter, and they ended up having to punt. Those little things, the little things I mentioned at the top of this segment with the mistakes once you got into the red zone, and then missing open players, not even throwing them the ball. And that clearly determined because of the coverage at the line of scrimmage where he was throwing the ball. Like before it was hyped to him, he clearly knew, I'm going here. And those might not have been bad, thoughts, but you have to be open to reading the game.
You got to read. Right. Look at your reads.
Read the play.
Read the play, see what's going, developing, and that's how you miss people, Chris, when you're locked in on one person, and then you look up and you realize the other guy's wide open in the middle.
Absolutely.